Bigfoot exists, and we've got his DNA. Hi, I'm Chris Kuhn, and that's a quote by Christopher Farnsworth from the New York Post. And in his article, he talked about the many different things about Bigfoot, why it's a thing, and that's kind of what this presentation will be on, about mythical creatures and the different aspects of them and why we believe in them. So first we're going to talk about the evidence of Bigfoot, then we're going to move on to our need to believe it, why we want to believe it so bad. And then we're going to talk about the flaw of the evidence, why it's wrong and why we're probably, it's in our heads. So, in 1972, a movie came out called The Legend of Bogey Creek. This movie was a B movie at the drive-in, which B movie at the drive-in means it was really cheap to make and they would put it after the main feature just to have another movie. They were generally pretty bad. This film was a documentary on a small town in Arkansas, and they interviewed locals about the monster of the Bogey Creek legend. So they interviewed people and they described this ape-like creature that would be about 9 feet tall and that was probably about the size of a bear but walked like a human. So this movie started out as a documentary, something to have people learn from, but people walked in for a documentary and left with a horror movie. This is something that started out simple and not that impressive and turned into a horror sensation. People actually believed it because the realness of it, that they believed that this could actually be in their backyard, this type of monster could be what the sounds they're hearing in their backyard. So we look at the different names for the different cultures. Thanks to Exemplar.com, I have a list of all the different names that it goes by. There are several more, but it goes on and on, but here are the main ones. In every different culture, in every different country, there's different names for it because they have their own version of Bigfoot with the same descriptions. In the Pacific Northwest, we call it the Sasquatch. That happens a lot, that's a very common term. But the more crazier ones, they call it the Yeti in the Himalayas, or the abominable snowman, that's also what they call it. In Australia, they call it the Yawa. In Mongolia, they call it the Olma. In Florida, of course, Florida, this is my favorite, they call it the skunk ape. Yes, thank you for that. And in Canada, they call it the Wendigo. In China, they call it the Yaren. And even in Ohio, we have our own name for it. We call it the grass man or the grass monster. This is so popular, actually, that we have a grass monster festival about an hour away from here. This is a phenomenon that is in every state. There's been a Bigfoot spotting in every single state in the United States except Hawaii. In Ohio, we have our own convention just an hour away from here. This is something that a lot of people claim they saw. And a zoologist by the name of Kelly Milner did some research in Bigfoot, Sasquatch, whatever you want to call it, traces back to the Native Americans. There's a Native American legend that went by the same exact descriptions. Big, tall, 9 feet, like a bear, hairy like an ape, and walks like a man. So we have this in all different cultures, and we have so many different descriptions of it, but the only proof we have is footprints that are the size or bigger than a bear. That's the only thing we have to go off of. We don't have bones, we don't have any skeleton, we don't have any fossils to go off of, any actual proof, just bad pictures, bad videos, and some unreliable sources claiming that they saw it, several of them. And in a very interesting article called Why We Believe by Kristen Lewis, she's a well-known psychologist, she wrote, and I thought it was a great piece, is Bigfoot in the woods or in our heads? This is something that is very interesting. Is this something that actually exists, or we just want it to exist so badly that we're willing to have that be blamed for just the creaks of the floorboard, the sticks breaking, leaves crunching when you're camping? Why we want this so bad? So that brings me to the Animal Planet actually aired an episode where they talked about mermaids being real. And in this episode, they used evidence that wasn't 100% correct. They kind of embellished it a good bit. Well, they kind of used their own experiment on this case. And by doing so, they had so many people, their viewers, believe in mermaids by then, that they had to have so many retractions showing people that mermaids do not actually exist. The same thing happens with Bigfoot, where people imagine they want it so bad. It does not take much evidence. They just showed a little bit of evidence to why mermaids are real, and people loved it. People went and bought it easily. So for that reason, it's not hard to think that Bigfoot is just something we want so bad, we're willing to overlook all of the evidence against it. So I hope you learned something about the mythological creatures and why we might think they're real. You know, we talked about the evidence towards it, that why we want it to be real, our need to believe it, why we want mythical creatures to be alive so badly, the flaw of the evidence, our mind saying we don't care about the evidence, we just want this to be real so badly. I know I will always want Bigfoot, mermaids, all that stuff to be real because that's more exciting life, but unfortunately, that's just not how it is. I think everybody wants this stuff to be real, but until we find further evidence, it's not. Thank you.